Before we begin, there's a few things that you should be aware of. If you're doing a SIMnet project that is auto-graded, always use the SIMnet project instructions and the start file in the SIMnet project area. That's what you see on the screen right here. It's really important that you get your instructions right from there. Secondly, if you're doing a project that is not auto-graded, such as pause and practice, we highly encourage that you use the instructions in the sim book rather than the printed book if you have it, because the sim book project instructions are always up to date. And then lastly, there are slight differences between Office 365 and 2019. The book and project instructions are written in Office 365, and where differences exist, they'll be noted in the project instructions or in the sim book. Okay, let's begin. Step 1. It says to download the start file. That's what you see right here. And if it opens up in protected mode, simply double click the enable editing button, and now you can work on this particular document. Step 2. It says the file will be renamed automatically when you open it, but if you need to rename it, if you're directed to do so by your instructor, you can certainly rename it at this point. And how do you do that? You click File, click Save As, and then you can rename it and save it wherever you like. That completes step 2. Step 3. It says change the line and paragraph spacing for the entire document. So I'm going to go over this very slowly, and that can be not as good for some people and great for others. So if you need to go to a particular step, for instance, say step 7 or 8 or something like that, you can simply fast forward the video, or you can look down in the description of the video, and I have a timestamp when each step starts, and you can then go immediately to that time so you can watch that. Otherwise, I'm going to go nice and slow here so people watching can see this go step by step. I'm going to hit the control button and A at the same time, hold them down at the same time. That will select the entire document. You can see it right there. Next, it says click the paragraph launcher. I'm on the Home tab, and right here, the paragraph launcher, there's a little button. It's the launcher button in the lower right-hand side. Most of these have little launcher buttons, which then launches out to more things. I'm going to click the launcher button for the paragraph group there. And I'm going to go over this rather quickly, but it says click line spacing. Make sure that's multiple. You can just follow along here. The next step, this is 3D. It says make sure that says 1.2. So I'm just going to click in there and delete what's in there and then type in 1.2. And then there's one more step. It says after paragraph right here. Change that to 12. I just use the arrows to bump it up to 12. I'm going to click OK. And then lastly, I'm going to use the show hide button right here to turn on the hidden characters, the hidden code behind it. And how you know it's on, you can turn it on and off. How you know it's on is because there should be a backwards P right there. This lets you know where, say, the indents are, and every time you hit the enter button, it starts a new paragraph. So this lets the editor know where things are, and it can be very useful. So it says it wants you to delete the extra lines between each paragraph. So now I can see all the paragraph symbols. I click on the first one, and then I hit backspace. Delete works as well. Backspace or delete will work. I'm hitting backspace. That's what I normally do. But you could hit delete. Going through all of them. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And that's going to conclude step 3. Step 4, it says change the font to the entire document. Now I'm going to select everything again, Control and A, hold them down at the same time. Well, if you're on a Mac, by the way, Macs use Command and A. They use very similar functions, but oftentimes it's Command is in place of Control. But we're on a PC here, so we're going to follow the instructions. It's Control and A. And then it says change the font to Cambria. A couple different ways you can do this. You can click on the little drop down next to the font box. I'm on the Home tab. And I can scroll down and find it, but I could also start typing it. And most likely it'll be one of the first ones that comes up. If I hit enter, you can see that it changes everything to the correct font. And that concludes step 4. Step 5. It says change the paragraph spacing, alignment, font size, etc. And we're going to go over this very slowly. Now I have a printed copy of the instructions and I literally just check off each item as I go. That's why I go slowly, but you should be doing that as well because you don't want to miss silly things in between where you could be getting a better grade. So I like to go nice and slow to ensure the highest grade possible. It says select the title of the document. I'm just going to click anywhere in here. The title of the document is Online Learning Information. I'm going to click even on that little paragraph symbol. I'm going to click everything there. Then I'm going to click on the Layout tab. And then it says over here in the paragraph grouping, it says spacing before. I'm going to use the arrows to change that to 36, and then after spacing should be 18. That looks good. Next, I'm going to hit the Home tab. I'm going to click the center button. It's in the paragraph grouping here. That centers it, which is great. Next, I'm going to hit the Font Launcher. Now, once again, the launcher button in the lower right-hand corner, I'm in the Home tab and the Fonts area, the Font Launcher. And pay attention here, just go over all the steps as you see them. It says, change it to bold. Right next to its size, so 24. Next, it says click small caps. You can see how that changes it. This is 5H. It says the font color. Follow the instructions here. Here in this particular set of instructions right now, it says blue gray text 2, but follow the instructions. And I know where it is. You can hover over each one of these. If you give it a second, it'll show you the names. We're going to use this one over and over again, so you might as well get used to it. Next, we need to click the Advanced tab. That's up here. Advanced. And then on the spacing drop down, it wants me to click Expand it. And then it wants me to type in 1.2, so I click right after the 1 there, and I type in a 0.2. Quick double check of my instructions. Click OK to lock it in place. And that completes step 5. Moving on to step 6. It wants us to do some cutting and pasting and stuff like that. So we're going to follow the instructions, 6A. It says select the last paragraph. I'm just clicking off of that there just to get that off. Clicking the entire paragraph, including the little paragraph symbol at the end. I'm going to use the shortcut button on my computer. I'm going to hit Control and then X, and that cuts things. I'm going to place the insertion pointer before the second line of the document. I'm just going slowly reading the instructions to make sure I get it right. Definition of online learning modalities, it's right there. Then I'm going to use Control and V, holding down both of them at the same time. It pastes that thing that we cut. Then it wants me to click at the beginning of the paste it paragraph. And it wants me to type in the following: where are we now with online learning? Please be careful to spell it correctly, get the capitalization correct. It's very particular, this system. Not even going to add an extra space because it doesn't say to do so. As soon as I finish typing it, it looks good. I hit enter and you can see now how it spaces down. That should be good to go. It says next, select the paragraph that starts with hybrid. Select the entire thing, including that little paragraph symbol at the end. Then it wants me to move it using the drop and drag feature. Now you can certainly use Control and X for a lot of things, but here they want you to see what it feels like to literally hold down the main mouse button, and then drag a selected text, and it wants me to put it in front of television, which is the next paragraph up, right in front of the T in television. And then boom, there we are. It puts it up there. Quick double check of the instructions and make sure I didn't miss anything. That looks good to me. And that concludes step 6. Step 7. It wants me to format the section headings using the Format Painter. So what it wants me to do is it wants me to Scroll up here, it wants me to select where are we now with online learning, question mark. I don't think it matters. I'm going to select the little paragraph symbol. I'm not sure that it matters either way. I'm going to click the font launcher. Once again, home tab, little launcher button in the lower right there. And you're going to see a very similar pattern to as what we've done before. First of all, you need to make sure it's on the font tab there. If it's on the advanced, click on font. Sometimes it stays with the very last thing you've done. I'm going to click on 12 because it wants the font size to be 12. Wants the font color to be that same one as before. Follow the instructions. Change the underline to double underline. Underline style should be the second one down, but it'll look like a little double underline. I'm going to select that, and I'm sure that's correct. Then it wants me to change the underline color to that same color we used before. Follow the instructions. I know where they are because I've done this several times. Next, I'm going to click OK. That'll lock it in place. Wants me to confirm that this is still selected. Sometimes if you click off it, you may have to click back on it. So I'm going to select it back there. And then it wants me to click the typography button right here. There should be, it'll say text effects and typography. It's in the fonts group. And there's a little drop down button there. Once again, the reason why I'm going so slow is I'm reading the instructions. You click that and it should give you a whole list of options. Please go slowly with this because what it says to do is hover over the shadow feature. And then in the outer category, see there's different categories right here. It should be the very first choice. It says offset bottom right. I'm going to select that. And there's a figure in your instructions to show you that. Next, it wants you to confirm that that is still selected. So make sure this is still selected. Now we want to copy this formatting down to other headings and click the Format Painter once. And then the next heading, definition of online learning. You can see that the cursor should have a little paintbrush on it. I'm going to highlight everything there. And when I release it, you can see how it changes that to the same font and styles and everything as the one before. That's the beauty of the Format Painter. I use it all the time to get consistency in my documents. Okay, and that completes step 7. Step 8, it says format paragraph headings in the document. So it wants me to scroll down. And this is the first paragraph heading. It says online course. I'm going to be very careful here to get the colon, not anything more or less than the colon, including the words. So online course and then the words there. Double checking that I have this and then click the font launcher. Select bold. It's 8C. Change the font color to that same one we've been using. Read the instructions, make sure you follow the instructions. Select small caps right there, you can see I did that. And then click OK to lock it in place. Great. That completes step 8. Step 9, we're going to use the Format Painter to select the formatting for here. It's just like before, but I'm going to do one more thing that's different. I'm going to double click on the Format Painter, and that's going to keep the Format Painter enabled. I'm going to keep selecting things and then it'll keep reformatting so I don't have to click the Format Painter each time. So it wants me to do it with the other paragraph headings. Hybrid course with the colon, being very careful to select the whole thing. Television or teleweb course with the colon there. And web enhanced course with the colon. Take your time and get it right. And then when you're ready to get off of the Format Painter, you can either hit the Escape button or the Format Painter button, and that'll get it back to the regular pointer. That completes step 9. We're almost done, folks, so let's keep moving on here. Next, it wants us to correct the spelling, and you should know that there are some spelling and grammar issues because you should see a wavy underline underneath management and then a double little line underneath potion. This one should be red, this one should be blue. The red ones means there's a potential spelling mistake. So in this particular case, it wants us to hover over management, right click, and the first and probably only choice, it should be the correct spelling. If I click on it, it'll change the spelling. That's great. It wants me to do it for potion as well. Should be portion. If you read the sentence, that makes sense. So I'm going to hover over potion, right click, select portion. And if anything else in the instructions, it said if anything else says that it's wrong, you can click ignore or ignore once. There shouldn't be any other misspellings, but if there just happens to be, you just click ignore all and you shouldn't have to do any more correction with that. And that completes step 10. Step 11 says select the last sentence, the last thing in the paragraph at the end of the document. So I'm going to select the parentheses all the way to the other parentheses right here. It's the last thing in the document. It should be if you did everything else correct. And it wants me to turn this into italicized. So on the font launcher group there, you don't have to do the launcher button. Just click the I. Should be in between the B and the U right there. It makes things italicized. You could also use Control I if you like. That completes step 11. Only a few more steps to go, folks. Step 12. The read aloud feature. This is such a great feature, and the reason why it's great, not only for business people, but for students, is the following. Have you ever typed something out and then you read it over many, many times, and then there are still mistakes in there? Well, that happens to me all the time, but if I hear it, I can then figure out what's going on. So this read aloud button lets you read text on a Word document. So what it wants you to do is on the review tab, there should be the read aloud feature.
This is a definition of a non-online learning course which uses online learning.
And you may not be able to hear this correctly, but anywhere where the pointer is, it wants me to select in front of this first paragraph right here. And then click on it and it'll start playing. Now I'm going to click the pause button right here. And now you have a couple different options. There's a little settings button to the right. I'm not sure if you can see this on the video, but you can change the speed, you can change the voice selection, which is great. That's what it's asking you to do. If I click escape there, it'll get out of that. And then I can also click stop, which is the X over here. Might not show very well on your video, but that's how you do it. It wants you to use this to play around with those features. I'm going to click back on it one more time because it also wants you, I'm going to click pause, and it also wants you to get used to the next feature. It'll move down to the next paragraph or next line. Click the stop button again, and you should be good to go. That completes step 12. Step 13 says add document properties. And here it wants you to head over to the File tab, and you should see this screen right here. And we're on the info area right here. And there, if you see properties, if you click on it, it'll say advanced properties. Then it'll give you a whole bunch of items. Make sure it's on the summary tab, not the general or anything else. It's on summary. And then it wants you to, in the title, type in online learning information. Make sure you get everything correct, including the capitalization. It's a very finicky program when there's misspellings. Next, in the subject line, it says type in online learning, making sure I capitalize correctly. Next, in the author, there's nothing there, but if there was something there, you could delete it out. And I'm going to type in Tanisha Morris. Looks pretty good. Click OK to lock it in place. Click the back arrow now to head back to the document. And that completes step 13. The great news is all that is left to do for you is to save and close the document, upload it into the particular project, and then submit it for grading. Best of luck, folks.